In this episode, Yuo shows up for a duel, but he is not playing fair at all. Hey there, my name is Rex. Yes, episode 58 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. This review's a day late because my entire recording just got corrupted, so this is the second time I'm doing that. That's why I'm wearing the Pokemon sweater that I use in my Pokemon videos. But this episode, it was a pretty interesting one as we catch up with the group as they're reconvening, trying to plan some strategy, and are even met by Mimi as Advisor M, and she gives them the details on Yuo, what exactly is going on with him. He does show up, and we fully see this whole puppet master motif that Mimi was telling them about, and that we see in his presentation as a bunch of creepy puppets are everywhere, and he himself shows up like as a creepy puppet. The whole thing is creepy. And it gets even worse when we see his deck. But now he begins a duel with Yuga as he sets up this whole tent, like this whole performance area, and that's his gimmick, right? His duel, basically. So that's a duel, Yuga versus Yuo. And Yuga starts off with a pretty strong turn with the light across play, just walling up, having some good monsters, and then it goes over to Yuo and we get to see his monsters. We get to see what he's using, and it's pretty interesting because they're not specifically just puppets, as you might think from the whole look and everything. They're kind of performance in general, but that still does fit with puppets. And also interesting, using a lot of warriors and spellcasters. So in a way, it's kind of the reverse of Yuga, or Yuga also uses warriors and spellcasters, but Yuo just uses the really creepy ones as he summons this monster that is an enhanced version of an older one, you know, similar to what we've been seeing with some of the other Goha siblings. And this one has got an interesting effect in that, you know, it lets him draw one card, but after that, he can mill the top card of his deck and destroy monsters his opponent controls that are of the same type. And so that's where things come into play, as he pulls a warrior type monster and destroys Yuga's warrior type monsters. Again, you know, it just kind of shows sort of in a way some duality between them. I think just shows that, you know, maybe they're kind of counterparts in a way. And also an interesting thing, the field spell that he plays lowers the attack of light attribute monsters, so that kind of hurts some of Yuga's light attribute monsters. And I guess, you know, kind of fully shows. I didn't double check, but well, actually quite a few light attribute monsters were used by Yuo, but he also has some dark ones, so it's kind of interesting how that goes. But back to Yuga's turn as he survives. Now he summons out Vast Vulcan, his maximum monster, and I think, you know, it was also kind of interesting because we haven't seen Vast Vulcan since the last time he dueled, which was at the finale of the last season. But it makes sense for him to bring it out during this duel because it's like, well, you know, obviously he's got to use his best. So he summons it out, but apparently there are some issues, and we get some more details about what exactly is going on with the Rush Duel robot on the moon, as its right arm has fallen off, and we get some exposition letting us know that the right arm is actually where maximum monsters are contained, the data for maximum monsters. The robot actually, you know, puts its arm back on, and the duel continues as normal after Vast Vulcan glitched out for a bit. But now, going forward in this arc, we know that that's where the maximum monsters are stored, and if the arm fell off once, it could potentially fall off again. So it might not necessarily be maximum monsters that could kind of bail them out of of a duel. And as he's about to attack, or as he, you know, before he attacks, an interesting cool trap card is activated on Yuo's side of the field that would prevent monsters with 2,500 or more attack from attacking this turn. Basically a threatening roar, but it has a stipulation of the attack limit. So Yuga gets around it in a cool way, and I like this, right? Using Vast Vulcan's effect to lower its own attack and then inflict damage to Yuo based on, you know, the level of that monster. But that ends up putting Vast Vulcan at about 2,300, and that gets it under limit to be able to attack, and he also ends up burning him for some other cards. So, you know, I like that. It kind of reminds me of, like, you know, using the monster effects in interesting ways on them. One of my favorite plays ever is to tribute summon Caius, target itself, banish itself, and because it's a dark, inflicts 1,000 damage, and do that for game. I pull that off a little too often for it to be funny, actually. But he brings Yuo down to 500 life points, and so now on Yuo's turn, now things get crazy as he reveals the big secret, what that card was. And he activates a fusion spell It's not called polymerization, I don't think. I think it's just called fusion. But it fuses 2 of his monsters into, his big ace boss monster, which is Metallian Asura Star. And it's real creepy. I hate this thing because it looks so creepy. But it fits Yuo so well, so from what we've seen. And so then that's basically what happens. This monster has an effect that allows it to gain the attack points of an opponent's monster. So it gains Vast Vulcan's 3,300 attack, attacks over, and defeats Yuga. So that's the game, that's the duel, that's the episode. And I guess in a way it kind of it's kind of interesting, because rather than this new monster being a new summoning mechanic, it's kind of an old one, the very first type of extra deck monster, right? But it's new to Rush Duels, since Rush Duels didn't have fusion monsters or anything in the extra deck. So now seeing it here, it's something unexpected, and also I guess kind of cheating, because Rush Duels aren't supposed to have fusion monsters, but in a way I guess they'd work pretty well, because you can draw into everything you need, the fusion spell, the materials, and then it's just sitting pretty in your extra deck until it's time to go. But on one hand, like I mentioned, with maximum monsters potentially being vulnerable in the right arm, I think that maybe potentially Yuga could end up getting his own fusion monster that would maybe fit him a little better, and in whatever way they can, and that's what he would use to defeat Yuo in a rematch. But poor Yuga losing. I get, have him lose a duel, but then he'll defeat that opponent again to, help him grow, help him build him up again. But, yeah, real weird, creepy episode, and, but it was pretty neat. Again, sorry this review's a day late, but what can you do when footage goes wrong? Hopefully this goes well, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy this episode? What do you think is going to happen going forward? What did you think of Yuo? And now that fusion monsters are out there, what other kind of fusion monsters do you think we're going to see? Could be anything, really. Some brand new ones, obviously. Or even some legacy ones, that might be neat. But if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. We'll make sure you see each new video as it comes out. Anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.